I've been doing a little creating on the couch lately because I've been on the couch a lot lately. Jason and I were binge watching Game of Thrones starting from season 1. Taylor, my daughter, and I have been watching it since the beginning, but Jason, who's my husband, just kind of got into it this past season because, we sort of made him watch it with us. So he wanted to go back from the beginning and get caught up. So that's what we've been doing for the past week or so. And while I've been sitting there watching, dozens of shows that I've already seen before, I've been doing a little couch creating. And what I've done is I've been looking through some old, but not old, just, books that I don't need. Looking for pictures to color, black and white pictures, and I found quite a few in various different books and magazines and stuff. And really the only criteria is that obviously they're black and white, and that they are, the page needs to have a somewhat glossy finish on it. Doesn't have to be high gloss, but it does need to be some kind of coated paper. And I've been using my Faber-Castell PITT pens, big brush markers, because they stay wet long enough to be blendy. So you can see I kind of dab and smudge every now and then. And that's just to blend the color before it dries. Something like Sharpies wouldn't work because they tend to just dry instantly. But anything that stays wet long enough to move it around, pretty much any water-based marker, your PITT pens, your Copic markers, those will all work. That one I think is maybe a Tombow marker that works real well for blending and also for removing color, especially on the faces. I tend to, smudge all different colors on their little faces where it doesn't belong, and I just take a really light colored marker and go over it, and it sort of just wipes up that color underneath. And you can see me going kind of off screen and doing something with my marker, and what I'm doing is I'm writing on a piece of scrap paper, because those light colored markers will pick up the dark colored ink that it touches, and I don't want it to ruin my marker, so I just wipe it off on a piece of scrap paper. And this is just, it's so easy. It's just like a grown-up version of your coloring book and crayons. And it's very soothing, and I like watching how the colors blend. And sometimes on this particular one, I kept it pretty basic. I didn't do a lot of blendy stuff, but I have some pictures at the end that I'll show you, and on some of those I just had a ball just putting all kinds of color everywhere. There's one of them that was actually it was a black and white copy of a Matisse painting, and I did it really kind of like an impressionist painting, using lots of just little dots of color. And I just love the way it turned out. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. They'll end up in a something somewhere at some time. And that is my specific plan for them. I really don't care what I end up doing with them. It was I really enjoyed the process of making them. And I like that it used stuff that I already had on hand. You don't really have to go out and buy anything special. If you don't have any old books with coated pages and black and white pictures, just keep an eye out for them at Goodwill or flea markets. There's this one I got at a thrift store, and it's a book of works that are in one particular museum. I think it's German or Dutch, I can't remember. But it's just a picture of all of the works that museum has. And all of the pictures are in black and white, so there's tons of good stuff in there. And then I'm going to do another one here in a minute, and that one is a picture out of a book that I got at a thrift store again, and it's one of those, it's like a Time Life book about the North and South Poles. And oh gosh, I don't even know how old it is. Somewhere between the 50s and 70s, I would say. But it had some really good nature pictures and stuff. Had a lot of penguins. I did some fun stuff with some psychedelic penguins, and that made me happy. And there was a big face, a close-up of one of the explorers, and gave him really bright red lips, and that made me happy too. So, yeah. That's all I could think of to say. This is not difficult. The ink does stay a little smudgy for a while, and you'll see when I'm going to cut this image out, which I usually do because the edges are a mess. And when I touch the edge of the picture, I'll leave little fingerprints because the ink is not quite dry. So see, there's where I'm kind of touching up my fingerprints. So you do have to kind of set it aside and leave it alone for a while for the ink to completely dry. But it will completely dry. It will absorb eventually. Yeah, this little guy came out of that Time Life book about the North Pole, South Pole, some pole, I don't know. And I don't always try to be realistic. In fact, I usually try to be purposefully not realistic. Because, you know, how boring would it be to take a black and white picture and then color it brown? No, I'm not. That just doesn't make me happy. So I've got kind of a pink seal here. Look at his little face. Look at that. Look, he just wants me to pet him. I just know it. Oh, he's so sweet. I found that the landscapes are my favorite. Excuse me. But I don't have a lot of those. There weren't just a ton of those in that book. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for some books with black and white pictures of landscapes or scenery or snow or, you know, something like that would be easy to color. People are hit and miss. I've got an Elvis that I'm working on, and he's a little bit jaundiced looking right now. I think I might just color him blue or something, because, yeah, flesh is not easy. That people, some of them turn out really good, some not so much. At the end, there's a picture of Elizabeth Taylor and Paul Newman in a scene from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Oh my gosh, it came out just beautiful. I love it. And then out of the same book, I got Elvis, and he's just not turning out as well for whatever reason. So, you know, there you go. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But this is one of those really easy, non-messy things that you can do when you're watching TV, or it's a good portable craft as well. You just need markers and pictures. You know what? I bet this would work too really well on black and white photographs, you know, printed on glossy or on coated photo paper. So you could colorize some of your photographs, if that's your thing. It's not necessarily my thing. That's why I don't do scrapbooking, you know, in a traditional sense, because I tried it several times, and I just found that the pictures of my family kept getting in the way and ruining my design. And I was much happier if I just left out the pictures, which kind of defeats the purpose of scrapbooking. So, yeah, I don't really scrapbook. I just do more of the art journal, mixed media, whatever thing. These are really easy to color because, you know, like working in a coloring book, the lines and the shading, everything's already there for you. And you can either use that while you're coloring, or you can just, go off on your own and put color wherever you want. But I do sometimes try to, use the shading that's on there and put the dark colors in those areas and light colors in the light areas. So, you don't have to think a whole lot, which makes it a good thing to do while you're watching TV or doing something else. So this little guy is about done. And I have some gel pens in my marker bucket, so I gave him some highlights on his eyes here in a minute. And then called him finished. So pictures are coming up, and for now, this is the end.